Well, it's like this. Hello. I'd like to expose some people out there in our society that are involved with Bernardo's in relation to my daughter, Sarah Ann Joanne. There is her photo. And I believe that she's been brainwashed by a Christopher Lawrence and a Margaret Wilkie, who works for the Department of Bernardo's, Child Welfare. In relation to this matter, I would also like to disclose that my daughter, Sarah Ann Joanne, was taken by the Department of Community Services from the mother and her family, roughly going back about, I'd say she'd be 14 now. So 13 years ago, she was born on the 18th of February 1998 at Liverpool Hospital. As me, the biological father, there has never been any court order, or nor have I signed any legal applications from any government agency to authorise any movement of my child, or to authorise any foster care for my child. And the whereabouts of my child for the past 13 years was never disclosed to me until a couple of years ago, which was by the mother. She approached my family and told me that my daughter, Sarah, was going to be taken overseas, and she apologises for not contacting my family, my daughter's whereabouts, as I am the biological father. And she also signed a statutory declaration, which is here, giving me authority over my child and for me to take action as the father, and also giving me photos of my child, which I haven't seen since she was 12 months old. I've debated this with the government. I am not willing to go to a court to meet with anybody because I believe that my human rights have been violated by the legal system. Also, I would like to note that recently she had been adopted unlawfully by these parties. And also I'd like to quote that in order, the Australian Government Department of Foreign Affairs, which I have notified on 2 occasions to prevent Mr. Chris Lawrence from taking my daughter overseas, the Department of Foreign Affairs acted on it and they put an order in. Multiple times I've been sent letters from this Mrs. Margaret Wilkie, who implicated and stirred up the mother of my child into digging up mud on me and calling me a terrorist, that my child shouldn't be anywhere near me, even though she didn't even know me, this lady, Mrs. Margaret Wilkie. Was making allegations that I was some sort of a nasty father to this child. And she dug up all this mud and used the mother of my child to help her to take it to the courts to get her own way with my child, Sarah Ann Joanne. Okay, the reason why I want to dispute this is human rights violations. You are meant to notify the father. From when my daughter was 12 months old, she was never notified by the Department of Community Services of my daughter's whereabouts, nor was I notified by the parents, which was the mother or her family, where she disappeared with my daughter. 10 years later, she came up to my family and apologised and said, "I'm sorry about hiding your daughter from you. She's in the hands of Mr. Chris Lawrence of 14 Fisherman's Road, St. George Basin." And apparently her or her family handed the child over to them without my knowledge or authority of where my child's whereabouts was. I phoned Mr. Chris Lawrence. I got his phone number. I phoned him up, and my daughter answered the phone. And she said, my dad found me. I said, Sarah, can I talk to you? And he snatched the phone out of her hand and said, you've got no jurisdiction over this child, in an aggressive manner. And then I said, let me talk to my daughter, and he refused. And I said to him, I says, you know, like, it's wrong what you're doing. My daughter's been unlawfully taken from me. And I got a bit aggressive, which any man would do. And I says, you're an arsehole, you shouldn't do this. And then he went to the, what did he do? He said, you're threatening me. And he says, and then he hung up and he went to the Sutherland police stating that I'd threatened him over this issue. And then he disconnected his phone number so I couldn't contact my child. It's the only time I ever spoke to my daughter. Okay, my issue here is, being the biological father of this child, they had no authorisation, no signatures from me, nor did they come and meet with me. They wanted me to come and meet with them after they have stolen my child. That's what I believe. These people have stolen my daughter, Sarah Ann Joanne, and brainwashed her into staying with her foster parent. And now they have unlawfully, without my authority, signed over, through the courts, custody of my child to Mr. Chris Lawrence, after digging up mud on me with my daughter's mother helping them, assisting them into making me aggressive and angry over my child's whereabouts. I did say some things, nasty things to these people. Well, anyone would do if you immorally strip them from the child. So whatever she used, as far as conversations over telephones, etc., 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 and I told her the truth, which is in actual fact is the truth. You know, if you're going to use your legal system and somebody is not very well financial and be denied proper legal representation in order to obtain his child, they want you to come to their party and meet with them and be the authority over your children, even though they're immorally being taken off you. Immorally, okay? Which is against the scriptures of the Bible. Anyway, I'm not here to preach religion, but I'm just telling you how these people act. You should be aware of these Bernardo's company, because they will phone you up and ask you about your personal life, and then they'll use it against you in a court of law. Okay? They'll say this person is fully unfit to look after this child, and then I'll strip you of your rights of your children, and then you'll never see your child ever again. Whether your child's been sold off to Jewish people in our society. Yeah, sorry, I apologise for mentioning Jews, because they're actually financing all these new government agencies to immorally harm society. Well, if you don't like it, well, that's just how life is. And they use their legal system and their financial systems to strip society of their human rights, which is, I believe, has been done to me. Yet I've never seen a courthouse or never been introduced in a court over this matter. Okay, quote, I still am the biological father, and I've never ever signed over authority to these people, nor have I communicated with them on a legal level for them to give custody of my child to a Christopher Lawrence. I received this letter here today. Notice of adoption application to neutral parent. All previous documents were sent back to the Bernardos that were in relation to my child, because for the 10 years that they had my child hidden from me, they never notified me of my daughter's whereabouts, which is a violation of human rights. Now, here's a letter. Look. This is a legal document from the government. I don't know if you can read the script. I'll try and fix the camera up so maybe you can there you go. Look at that. The camera was out of whack. Okay. Parent of the child. This letter I will read out to you, and exactly what it says is, Bernardo's Australia is required to notify you as the father of Sarah Ann Joanne, born on the 18th of February 1998. Bernardo's intends to proceed with adoption application in respect of Sarah Ann Joanne. As you are aware, Bernardo's, I'm not aware, because I don't communicate with these people for legal reasons. I don't sign any documents to these people. I don't want nothing to do with these people because they strip people of their human rights, which is a violation, and immorally steal your children, which is kidnapping. Okay? As you are aware, Bernardo's believe the adoption of Sarah Ann Joanne by her current carers is in her best interests. Now, may I ask, what is in the best interest of my child? You's digging up mud on my child, on my family? My family, I come from a very good family, okay? It is not the parents' fault of how the children were raised or otherwise, okay? So if you want to dig up mud on my family, I suggest you do your homework, because I'm completely different to the opposite person that you thrashed out or try to make out in your legal system through Bernardo's to throw mud at me and give it back to your government and say that this guy is unfit to have his child. Well, you're completely wrong. I'm a carer. I've looked after my mother for the past 14 years. I've looked after my family. I've put my neck on the line to save members of my family, you know, keep them away from parasites in society, you know. But you don't know me that well, you know, so that's your fault. Anyway, look, as we are aware, Bernardo's believe the adoption of Sarah Ann Joanne, current carers, is in her best interest. Enclosed by a copy of the additional plan regarding adoptional contact. I have not given no authority for no one to have to be adopted to anybody that is not the biological parent of my child, and I'm the biological father. On the 9th of August 2012, your child Sarah Ann Joanne gave consent to her adoption by her carers. She gave consent. Well, may I ask, how did my daughter give consent? She doesn't even know her father. You have not even given her access or brought that child back home from the person that you stole their children, which is me. Quote, you stole my daughter. You are responsible for what you did with my child. You are responsible for misconduct by your department for not notifying me of what you were doing with my daughter. All right? Take that to your courts. Okay? On the 9th of August, yeah, right, okay, she gave... On the 12th of September 2012, application for adoption was filled to the Supreme Court of New South Wales, file number 144/2012, okay? Your right to refuse consent to the adoption is no longer required. Why isn't it required? I'm the biological father. Who gives you the right to make a decision on somebody's child without their authority? You are violating human rights. You are stripping, you're opening somebody's heart up and you are tearing it out. That's what you're doing. And you do that to people in society. And you strip them of their children. And you expect them to sit there calm on their lounge and say, hey, it's okay for you to steal my child and take it away. You know, because that's the way you design your laws for financial revenue. Okay? And you can't tell me Mrs. Margaret Wilkie didn't finance the mother of my child every time she wanted to go and support her habits. Or Mr. Chris Lawrence, in actual fact. Or maybe even paid $50,000 for my child. Which is what used people do. Under the table. Your right to, is no longer required. Reasons of 54(1)(c) of the Adoption Act 2000. But you may apply the Supreme Court under section to leave to appear in the proceedings to be joined as a party to oppose the application. Make known to the court. Make known to the court your wishes in relation to the adoption of your child. or any other matter relating to the best wishes of this child by means of this statement in writing signed by you. I'm not signing you no statement. In actual fact, I can either burn this or return it back to Bernardo's, because it's not worth the paper it's written on. Okay, apply the Supreme Court. Yeah, right. I'm not going to go to your courts and be judged by a bunch of Jews that want to steal people's children. Okay? No way in the world. I'm not going to finance their pockets to go around immorally stripping society of their children. It's against my will, and it's against the scriptures and the religion that I was raised in. I'm sorry, I'm not going to come to the party. Because you stole my child, you kidnappers. You steal people's children, and that's what your business is all about. Making money. Even your government apologises for stealing people's children through the adoption agencies that you had. It was just on TV recently. Well, you're going to apologise to me for stealing my child? It's not going to happen. I won't accept your apology. You got to meet your maker when you pass away. You answer to him. You answer to the man upstairs and say how you treated civilians in your society, how you threw mud at them to strip their children, strip the hearts out of human beings, like your satanic little games that you play with people. Okay. If you intend to apply to the Supreme Court to appeal joint party, you must notify Registrar Inquiry Division in writing. Intention within 14 days receipt of this notice. You're going to give me 14 days to make up whether I want to give you my child. Actually, why don't you get on the phone and offer me $150,000? Say, excuse me, can I buy your daughter off you? You're better off, aren't you? And I won't accept the money anyway. Not from your cult. If you intend to make known to the Supreme Court your wishes or any order of matter in relation to the best interests of this child by the statement in writing, such statement be provided to the Register of the Equity Division of the 14 days in receipt of this notice. Geez, you give me 14 days. What about the 10 years or the 11 years you stole my child? That doesn't matter, does it? The address of the Registry of the Equity Division of the Supreme Court of New South Wales, Queen Square, Sydney. Yep. Listen, you tell your rabbi judge, Rabbi Numset, to go back and read the Bible, okay, and to educate yous into reading the Bible, and stop making agencies to finance off people in society for revenue and stealing their children, immorally taking them. Fair enough. If I ever did something to hurt Sarah, I'd understand. It's not my nature to hurt, okay? I'd understand. But I've done nothing to that child. And I've never harmed yous. We've had actually aggressive conversations with each other over telephones, etc., etc., etc. But that's as far as it went. Because that's what you people are designed to do, is to upset people. So you can get mud on them and throw it at them in the court of law and strip them of their children. It's immoral. Go ahead. Take it to the court. Give custody out. But I'm not giving you authority. No way in the world. But you take it to your grave with you when you go in front of the man upstairs. Say, come here. What did you do when you were alive? Oh, you stole this man's child. Oh, really? Sorry. You come to the wrong door. There's one downstairs there and it's full of fire. I suggest you go and jump in it. Because that's where you're going to be when you meet your maker. Adopted parents Christopher Kevin and Marion Elizabeth. And father, you you can't even spell my name right. Where'd you get Anthony Eustace Gabriel? Right? This is not a legal document. Okay? If you took this to a court of law, making up names on your own accord, and put it through the courts, this is not worth nothing. That is not my name. You don't even know how to spell my name. Okay, correct? This is not my name on this document. Can you read? Where'd you get Anthony Eustace Gabriel? Have you got my birth certificate? Have you got my birth certificate? Do you know my real name? This letter will not stand in a court of law. I assure you that. Director General, this is a government document. Who are you trying to kid in your government? Anthony Uses Gabriel. Geez, you're very well uneducated department there, Bernardo. Very, very well uneducated. You better do your homework. This is a legal document. You're taking it to the courts. You'll be held liable. Okay? For sending a letter of adoption to a parent, you don't even know his real name. So is that my fault? You stole my child and you can't even spell my name properly? It's not even my name on this transcript. I've got my birth certificate. I know my real name. I know my real date of birth. Why don't you know it? You know so much about me and you want to throw mud at me through your department to steal my child. Look, this is a government transcript. Adoption plan. Father, where'd you get that name from? It's not my name. Who you send this letter to? This letter will not stand in any court of law. So you're wasting your breath, you're wasting your time taking all this legal stuff to the courthouse. Do you understand? Mrs. Margaret Wilkie? No wonder why you commit misconduct within your department, because you don't even know the parents you're dealing with. Government document. Look at this. Can you actually read that? It's not even my name. It's the right address of the father, but it's not even my name. You know what? I reckon the Supreme Court judges will laugh at you. It's not a legal document. So go home and do your homework. I'm sending it back to your department. I'm not going to be a part of any of your party until you address everything and bring my child back home. You stole my daughter. You bring her back home to her father and her grandmother so she can meet the rest of her family, which she's entitled to, which she's never ever laid eyes on. You stripped her of her human rights. You should be sued for everything that you have done to my family and Sarah herself. And you brainwashed her into saying, I want to be the foster parent. I want these Christopher Lawrence and his... Wait here, let me see this transcript again. What does it say? Hang on. Okay. These people crack me up. You know, you're not very well educated, are you? Hang on. Adopting parents Christopher Kevin Lawrence and Marion Elizabeth Lawrence. Okay, Lawrence. Give their last name. I know you people. I know how to spell your name. I know you know, I could find out your date of birth if I wanted to. And we can find out where you live. You know what I mean? You know, I could turn into a real estate agent. Don't go accusing the mother of giving me information, because the information never come from there in the first place. You just upset the mother to get mud to throw at the courts and say, this man done this and this man done that. Isn't he a bad man? Oh, really? Where are your children, by the way? Did you sell them off to somebody? Okay. Look, I'm not authorising this letter. Right, okay, you can tell Mr. Chris Lawrence you'll never get custody of my child. This is not a legal document. This is not my name on this transcript, okay? So take it to your courts. You're wasting your time. It won't be worth the paper it's written on. Margaret Wilkie, Christopher Lawrence, you are very well-educated people. I take my hat off to you, Mr. Lawrence. How'd you join the Marines? Did they spell your name correctly when you joined the Marines? Or was Mr. Rabbi Christopher Lawrence, you can take your wife's bra and stick it on your head and go and see Rabbi Numsky and pray to God that he's going to forgive you for what he's done with my child. That's all I've got to say. I'm not an aggressive man. If I was, I would have been at your front doorstep, Lawrence. Because you intercepted a letter, you and Margaret Wilkie, the Department of Foreign Affairs, when you tried to take my child out of the country. Okay? I caught you out. Foreign Affairs, I rang them up and they said, we never received the letter. Margaret Wilkie intercepted it because you got someone from your office to ring up and say, excuse me, when are you sending that letter off in relation to your daughter? Yeah, I come out of the last shower. And I told them when I sent the letter off, and you intercepted it, which is a federal offence. Intercepting mail, especially going to government departments. You're responsible for that. Oh, oops, I'm sorry. I'm dobbing you into the government. I really apologise. You know, because I caught you out. And you should be reported for it. And then I had to send a second letter to the Department of Foreign Affairs saying you can't take my daughter out of the country. You're really smart people, aren't you? I suggest you go and do your homework. Because this letter you just sent me, I'm sending it back to your department because it doesn't hold up in a court of law. I've studied law. You know? Didn't come out of the last shower. People can lie about people, spell their name incorrectly to incarcerate somebody, because it's happened to me before through the court system. Hey, and it's not going to work this time because I'm aware of your actions. Okay? So if there's any legal people watching this video, like judges, Department of Public Prosecutions, I might say, if Mr. Chris Lawrence and Margaret Wilkie, I'm going to give you out your address there, Lawrence, because you gave mine out. You had police come to my address, and in an unmarked car you paid extra police to come up to my address from your area because you have got a lot of money, Mr. Rich Rabbi. Take me out off to you. To try and intimidate me over my child. Now, I'm going to tell you something. Chris Lawrence of 14 Fisherman's Road, St. George Basin. I do not know you. I do not know how you're handling my daughter. So how am I supposed to feel comfortable with you, sir? I better take me out off to you, Rabbi Numsit. Because, mate, kidnapping's a serious offence. It is. Anything to do with children, brainwashing children. I'll call it kidnapping, Lawrence. You mightn't be actually responsible, but I assure you the Department of Community Services are. Bernardes. That's right. Take that to your courthouse. And by the way, I'm going to return this unauthorised legal document that you sent to me, which I wasn't accepting anyway, like the previous ones that you sent, because you can't spell my name properly, and it won't hold up in any court of law. So if you think you're going to get away with kidnapping my child, it's not going to work. This video is going public, dude. You want to do something about it? Intimidate me. Because the local authorities asked me to go to the Court of Petty Sessions and file a harassment order against you and Margaret Wilkie. By trying to intimidate me, committing federal offences, intercepting letters going to immigration to stop you from taking my daughter out of the country. That's a federal offence. You both should be charged for it. If I was a federal police, I'd come around and knock on your door and ask why you intercepted that letter that was heading to a government agency, the Department of Foreign Affairs. May you want to explain that to the government and the authorities. Oops. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll be very, very wary of this Bernardo's company, how they handle your children in future, and how they handle legal transcripts and documents, not even knowing who the real parents of your child are. Take that to your legal system, because this paper and whatever you take into the courts with this name on it, or whatever name you want to throw to the courts, it's illegal. That's all I've got to say. And please do not send me any more of these letters in the mail, because they'll be sent straight back to your department. I'm not interested. And Sarah, if you are watching this video, and I hope you are, you have got one of the wonderfulest grandmothers that could ever exist in the world. Your grandmother loves you, regardless she's never laid eyes on you. Your grandmother is God's property. Your grandmother's family built churches, and all she's ever done is help people all of her life. And I hope one day when you get over 18 years of age, you'll come here, if me and your grandmother's still alive, to visit and to get to know your family. You know, you've been stripped. You are a victim and so have I. But you've been stripped and lied to by these people. And Margaret Wilkie would have said that I'm aggressive and I could be a terrorist because I'm from a Lebanese background. You know, and all these sorts of things. But honestly, love, whatever you've been fed about this family, it's all lies. The reason this argument started with me and Margaret Wilkie, because she hid my child from me, which is misconduct, and the Department of Bernardo's, and never notified me of my daughter's whereabouts for 11 years or so. Okay? That's the truth. And they've just raised you however they wanted to raise you and just put in your head whatever they wanted to put in your head. You know, I was aggressive in some ways. Well, any parent's going to be aggressive if their child has been stolen from. And Margaret Wilkie, no thanks. Don't invite me to your legal systems. So I've been there, done that. You know, I've been incarcerated on paper committals before, love. Don't do it to me again. You know, don't make an innocent man guilty of things that he doesn't do. You know, a little bit more wiser than that. And while you're at it, please go back to preschool and learn how to spell people's names. Get their names correct. So my daughter knows the real name of her father instead of lying to her. Is this... Actually, you can give her this name you sent on a letter, because when she turns 18 years of age, how's she going to find her father? I didn't think of that. Now, that's a good point. How is she going to find her father if you're lying to my child and you don't even know how to spell my name or otherwise? So she'll be running around to 20,000 different Anthony, whatever you want to spell my last name, however you want to spell it, which is wrong, or my middle name. And, you know, say, excuse me, Sarah, sorry, this is your dad, and this is your grandmother's name, but if it's spelled incorrectly, we'll just send you on a wild goose chase to try and find your family. I'll take my hat off to you. I suggest you go to church sometime and ask God to forgive you for what you've done.